The time has come.
Well, here we are. Blood of Zeus Season 3, Beyond Thunderdome. The final chapter of what's been a mildly interesting, yet repetitive and nonsensical journey through Sundown Lane. Today, we're diving into a full overview of the season to see if it went from a mortal disaster to celestial gold, or remain tarnished bronze. After going through the records for a few hours and basically scaling the Mount Everest of paperwork, the result is clear. This season is more like polished bronze, to be entirely honest. It's flashy, but very low in terms of substance. And the claim that it doesn't qualify as an epic tale, yeah, that was absolutely accurate. Honestly, I don't see this series going much further based on what we've been given. And I don't mean in terms of getting other seasons, I just mean in terms of it's not going to be remembered as fondly as it could be, such as like Castlevania. But let's run through what happened this season so I can explain exactly why. Spoilers ahead. If you haven't seen this season, stop here, watch it, then come back. That's your choice. First, the overall direction. Like the previous seasons, this one had the framework for a good story. Even if it was raiding the ancient Greek recycling bin like most modern day fantasy media. Ultras returned to challenge the Olympians again. It has become stale at best and middling at worst. Better adaptations exist, such as Percy Jackson, for instance, handling the second Titanomachy, second Gigantomachy, in ways that Blood of Zeus could have learned from before diving into this arc. Most of the runtime was spent in the underworld, which now acts as the Titans' new base of operations, with criminals being freed by Typhon. Their goal? Reclaim the world and dump the Olympians into a newly introduced place in the underworld called the Abyss. Honestly, not the worst addition to Greek mythology when compared to other, less coherent choices. But really, this season threw death out the window. There is potential for resurrections galore here, and they did on some level, and did not. It's inconsistent as heck. What can you do? Now onto the major characters. First, Heron. He's fine. No joke. The stabby stab Hades gave him last season didn't even matter. The guy somehow managed to bring himself back to life before death had a chance to grab him. So the cut the red plot line keeps going until we find out who did and why. More on that later. Next, Seraphim. Forever the underdog. It turns out Zeus betted on the wrong horse to restore balance between heaven and earth. His mission: to get the priestess Gorgo to the Elysian fields so she can be saved while the rest of the world burns. Unfortunately, that side quest doesn't pay off in any type of meaningful way. Then there's Gaea. I'll admit, I was wrong. She didn't cut Heron's thread, even though, let's be fair, it was right there. But by the primal force, she's still responsible for this whole mess, spouting things off about how the Olympians have failed and need to be punished. I swear, she gaslights so hard this season, there would be enough natural gas to power the planet for 10,000 years. She shows up in 2 or 3 episodes and then vanishes again, once more having others do her dirty work for her, as usual. Now, Typhon. Oh gosh. Visually, impressive. Effectiveness, yeah, not so much. He comes off more as a monster of the week than the apocalyptic threat that once drove the Olympians to flee to Egypt. I swear. Without Demeter's poison nerfing them last season, the gods probably could have held their own a lot better in the first confrontation. Typhon's intelligence is barely above beast level, which is sad, to be entirely honest. Oh, and he also got a new trick, an ability once you need to Antaeus, the power to grow stronger and regenerate so long as he's touching the earth. Despite being Greek mythology's final boss, he's a little more than a lackey here. And then we get to Kronos, the true villain of the season, and wow, he is dumb. He suddenly adopts this new ideology about godly weakness, claiming that it is caused by the dilution from the primordial bloodline. Unlike Gaea, whose poetic nonsense at least tries to argue for cyclical failure, Kronos just forgets basic genealogy. All the Titans came from the primordials, and the Olympians came from him and Rhea, at least the main 6. So where exactly is the dilution here? That lack of logic gives me a headache, especially given the fact that some of the Olympians, like, oh, I don't know, Apollo, Artemis, Athena, they all had Titan parents, which should make them closer to the primordial bloodline rather than further away. Also, Hera gets major focus this season, unlike last season where she just basically got dogged on, which completely deserved. This one, she actually has some major consequences that kind of come back to bite her, because you see, she loses both Ares and Hephaestus. And I don't mean temporarily, I mean permanently. You see, the Abyss works to completely eradicate a being's essence across everything. So yeah, they're dead. And she's forced to reassess her position, her goals, her thought process, and frankly enough, even talk with Heron's mother, Electra, in order to understand what the hell is going on, including why Zeus seemed to love mortals so much. Some of the strongest scenes in this season actually came from her alone. Genuinely some solid work there. Now, we have the meter. And let's be fair, she gets her comeuppance because Persephone dies and is basically now Dread Persephone. And let me tell you one thing, Typhon and Kronos are lucky not to have met that version of Persephone. Otherwise, the second Titanomachy would have been known as the Friday Night Massacre. And just to tie this back around, it was the meter who cut Heron's thread. Why? Well, what else? To punish Zeus for taking Persephone away from her. She had plenty of choices. Countless demigods of Zeus before this, but chose now, centuries later, to act. Just brilliant! And if you're wondering whether Heron is Zeus's first demigod, he's not. He can't be. Dionysus exists. He's on Olympus. Not only that, you also had demigods like Heracles, who should have been there during the first Gigantomachy. Or, oh, I don't know, Perseus, who was one of Zeus's earliest demigods, even before Dionysus. So this entire revenge plot is late, lazy, and just sheer nonsense. Now on to Zeus, who for most of the season is basically useless until the end. Same for Poseidon. And Hades, oh my primal force, they did him dirty. The man tried to end things fast by assassinating Kronos, only to be disarmed and beaten in his own realm. Let me illustrate something real quick. Kronos has been imprisoned and weakened for millennia inside of Tartarus, and Hades is in his sphere of influence, the strongest place he could ever possibly be in, and yet he still gets manhandled. Like, this guy, what the hell? Are you kidding me? Let's move on to Heron's powers, which, what honestly happened? Season 1, he had basic strength and combat skills. That's fine. And by the finale, he was calling lightning. Okay, that's again fine. Cool. Season 2, he suddenly levels up dramatically. Okay, that's gonna happen, yeah, because the story demanded. But Season 3, are you kidding me? He resurrects himself with lightning and manages to fight Typhon solo, literally having enough power to block Typhon empowered fire blast with a single hand, and then just keep on empowering himself. He is still a mortal in this instance, not a god. A mortal can only take so much power for, you know, blowing up. Speaking of blowing up, he even manages to kill Typhon in a self-sacrifice moment that somehow hits harder than Zeus's death in Season 1. And you wanna know why? All because of love and bloody friendship. Oh, just screw off. Oh, and then it gets worse. With the Titans going down so fast that it makes you wonder what was the point of them even coming back was. Kronos gets no-dipped by Zeus, Hades, and Poseidon working together. Then Seraphim lands the final blow, killing him. And after that, the entire situation afterwards is a cheap reenactment of the Titanomachy. Yeah, they even bring back the Elder Cyclops and the Hecatocrates for this. Just what the hell? It literally ends in 5 minutes. So all the buildup, all the craziness, all the stuff that could have been done with the Titans, done in 5 minutes. In the end, everyone who died gets immortalized in the stars. Hephaestus, Ares, Persephone, Heron, even though we literally saw early in the season that they can literally just walk out of the underworld, so this was entirely pointless. And then for the final end, the Olympians have a ceremony where they further immortalize the two brave heroes who saved the world. Seraphim is remembered as the one. Yeah, basically the chosen one. Congratulations. And Heron, because of his dedication, his duty, and willing to pay the ultimate price, which again isn't that much of the ultimate price given the fact that they can literally walk out of the underworld, is so that way anyone who embodies those same traits, those same ideals, becomes forever known as hero. Gosh, I really should have seen this coming with the moment they said Heron. I didn't think of it. I really didn't think they were going to go that route. Like, this was going to be the origin of the word hero for them, but apparently so. I guess that makes the whole blood of Zeus thing even more poignant because he would have been among the first, and that trope had not been used to death at that point. Great. That's what Zeus Season 3 by the Primal Force. I need to go lie down before I start using the universe as a ping pong ball after this mess. You know, maybe I can just go to Boca Raton. I hope all of you have a good day, you stay safe, and see you next time.